Hello, welcome to my channel. This is going to be a fairly long video. I'll be showing you how you can integrate your API management service with OAuth. How you can use OAuth in your API management service. Let me share my screen. Let me explain our current situation and we'll see how we can improve that. Yeah, so I think you can see my postman now. Um, I'm on postman now, and Um, our current state is that we have this API gateway. So this gateway URL is from the API management service, not the URL from our web app. So I can send a request and I will get a response from the web app. However, there's no tokenization. So the only kind of form of authorization we have is the subscription key that is included here. Aside that, there's no real security around it in terms of getting a token, setting some authorization headers and things around that. So we do not have that. So what we are going to do is we are going to see how we can integrate OAuth with this and we'll see how we go from there. This is going to be a fairly long video, so just be patient. The steps are kind of much, but once you follow everything one after the other, you will be good to go. So let's go to our Azure portal. Yes, so I'm on my Azure portal now. So presently, before you start this video, what you need to have is you need to have an API, which you can see our courses API that we have. And that API should have been should have been published to a web app. Afterwards, that web app should have been linked to the API management service. So the web app should have been integrated to API management service. So you should have created your API in the API management service. So the first thing we need to do is to create our application object. So you just come over here, click here, and app registration. So we are creating two app registration. We are creating one for Postman because we are going to be using Postman as our client, and we are going to be creating another one for the app registration. So let me start with the one for the app registration. Let me call it app manager. Let me call it app manager. Don't need to do any other thing, just register. Okay, then let's go back to our intra ID and create another one. This time around, the one for Postman. App registration, call this Postman. I really hope I do not have a Postman already existing. Okay, so we have two app registration created now. That's the first step. One for app manager, the other for Postman. So the next thing I'll be doing is I'll be going to the app manager, which is the one for the API manager, app manager, and I would be exposing that API. So let me go back, go to app registration, um, app manager, then let's go to expose an API. So we want to add the scope now. So I'll click to add a scope. I'm fine with the ID that was created, so I save and continue. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we'll give it a name. So let me copy this scope name, admins and users, not just admin. Then admin consent display name. This can be anything, so we can just see something like um we can give it the same as what we called it. So let's say courses says um, let me just fill this, I'll just copy them and paste it. Okay, so I think this is good. I think this is good. It's enabled. All these are not important. Let me add the scope. I think this is good. Okay, so we've added the scope now. So the next thing I'll be doing is we'll be going over to the apples. We'll be going over to the apples and we'll be adding a new role or apple. So still within here, apples. After exposing an API, we are now going to apples. Let's create a new apple. Then our display name courses. You know, for exposing an API, we use course. Now this will be an application. It's not a user, it's not a group. Then for the value we are going to be using the same as the name, courses, read courses. I can use this. And we are good. You should enable it. Yeah, it's enabled. And we are good. Okay. So what we are going to do now is we'll be going to the postman application objects. We're going to postman application objects. Let me see this exposing an API again. Okay. Let's go to the postman application object now. Postman. Now we'll be going to API permissions. We want to add a new API permission. Click to add a permission. Then you go to my APIs because we want to fetch out what we have from the app manager. So we are using this. This one I use it in one of my video tutorials. But we are using this. Let me also mention that for OAuth, in this case we are looking at integrating API, the API management service with our web API. But in some of my previous videos, I've showed you how you can integrate a standard web app, just a .NET application with OAuth on its own. But in this case, the reason why I'm doing this again is because this is for the API management service. So we'll click on App Manager. I think I should have even called it I should have called it API Manager rather than App Manager. But it's all good. Then after selecting that, we are going to click on application permission, not delegated permission now, because what we created was for application permission. So this is what we'll be using. If I go to delegated permission, we'll be seeing something else. Okay, so because these two are the same, I'm trying to be sure the one that is the right one. Okay, so we'll go with this. Go with this. Is delegated permission. We'll go with this. Add permission. Okay. So I think we are good. Before I started this, I would have deleted all the previous application object that I had so that it would be easier for me to um work with this, but it's all good. So the next thing we have to do now is we are now going to go to the API management service. We are going to the API management service now, and we want to do some configuration over there that will link us up with the OAuth server. So what I would do is I would go to the API management service and I will navigate to so let me just search for it. API management services. Okay, I already have it open there. So um let's expand this. Let me expand this. And I'm looking for OAuth and OpenID. Should be under security or settings, I think. This is settings. Uh, see. Let's see, developer. Yeah, so it's under developer portal. So you click on OAuth 2.0. Okay, so the developer portal is not enabled. So it's good that, and I do not want to enable this here. So what I will be doing is, let's go to, that's why it's good that I have two. There is another API service that the developer mode is enabled. So we are going to use that. So I'll go to developer portal and click on this. Yeah, but before I start this, let me just confirm that this second API management service is actually working. It's working well. So I'll go to Postman and I'll get the endpoint, and let me get the endpoint first. Just get the endpoint and try to send a request to it. Test, get all courses. Okay. Let me just copy the URL, copy this. Okay. Let me just copy the subscription key from clear your web API dev. Okay, so let's go to Postman very quickly. So I'll just add dev here. Then I'll change the header. This value, the subscription key. I'll paste the new one. Then I would try to send this request just to confirm that it is working. Yeah, so it is working. Yeah. Okay, so now let's go back to our API management service and add the OAuth server to it. So I'm going over here now. Okay, so navigate to from our developer portal, OAuth 2.0 and OpenID Connect. So want to add it now. Yeah, so what I would do is want to add a new OAuth config. So I'll give it a name. Um give it a name. Let me call it OAuth server. Description, OAuth server. Client registration page. This can be anything. It's not important, so I can even leave it. I can leave it. Then authorization grant type. I will add client credentials because I'll be using client credential. Okay. While working with the client credential for the test console in the developer portal, then ask for credential. Okay, that's fine. And we scroll down. Authorization endpoint URL. This is the interesting part. So we need to get this from our application objects. So I'll be going over there now. To my I'll be going over to my app manager application object and I'll try to get the endpoint so that I can paste it. So let me go over here. Active Directory, application object, app manager, which is our object for the API, really meant to be API manager. And you click on endpoints and copy the version 2 so you can see the authority URL. Is it now called authority URL? Okay, this is it. Or 2.0 application authorization endpoint. So this is what I'm to copy. Copy this for version 2. I go over here, paste it here, authorization endpoint URL, and over here I add the post request as well, not just get. Then for token endpoint URL, copy the token endpoint URL or 2.0 token endpoint version 2. So I copy the token endpoint for version 2 as well. I come over here, I paste it in token endpoint for version 2. Then I scroll down. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is fine. Access token sending money. Authorization header, this is fine. So now client credentials. Yeah, then the default scope, we also need to get that as well as the client credentials. So to get the default scope from the API manager, we need to copy the API blah blah blah. So I would go to expose an API from here, expose an API, and this is what we are going to use as the default scope. I copy it, go over here, slot it in here. Okay, so now the client ID. Okay, the client ID is for the app manager, so we just need to copy it from the app manager. And we also need to create a secret from the app manager. So I come over here, client ID from the overview page. You see it here, client ID, copy it, go over here, slot it in. For client secret, you go to certificate and secret, create a new secret, just give it any name, secret, expires in 6 months, which is fine. You add, copy the value, secret ID, we're interested in the value, you copy it. Okay, so come over here, paste the secret. I hope I'm correct. Yes, I am. You paste the secret. Then the redirect URL is field. So you need to copy the authorization code grant because we are going to be using it. So copy this and paste it somewhere. Let me paste it here. Then I think we are good. I think we are good. I think we are good. Yeah, we've added the client secret, then authorization code grant, we've copied it. Okay, so let's now add the code grant as the redirect URL before I proceed. So come over here, go to authentication, click to add a platform, add web. So this is where we slot in the code grant that we copied. Yeah, this is where we slot it in. Then you can configure. I think this is fine. Can add this, then can also add this. But I've also created this first. It doesn't matter. So let's try to add this. So why both are working, the one or more field with has incorrect values. Let's confirm where that is coming from. Um, here is um so we have an error somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where that error is from. Okay, so let me see. This is not important. It shouldn't be. Find credentials. Okay. I think it's from the default scope. Are they saying this is not valid? Okay, let's see the default scope again. I think I copied it, so this is the scope. 5B, yeah, it makes sense. So this should work. Let me see. I think it's from the default scope. Um, okay, so let me try it again. Find registration endpoint should not be empty. Okay, registration endpoint. Okay, so the error is not from here. It's from the registration endpoint. Okay, so I think it's over here. Let me just use localhost. But it wasn't marked as important. That's why I left it blank. But let's see. Hopefully it works now. Yeah, so it's working now. Okay, so we've added our OAuth server to our API management service. So what we need to do now is um we are going to be adding a policy. We are going to be adding a policy um that would return a status code for unauthorized when a bearer token is not sent. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing. Okay, so but before we even do that, let us add this server. So let me go to let's go back to our APIs. APIs. So I want to add the OAuth server to just one endpoint. So I can also add it to everything. But for this demonstration, to keep things simple, I'll be adding it just to get all courses. So I'll click on get all courses before I go to settings. So I can come over here in settings. Then I scroll down. We are looking for security, and we'll see, yeah, so under security, we can select OAuth 2.0. Then we need to choose our OAuth server, and we can see the one that we just created. Select it, and we are good. We can save. So we can save now. So let's save our OAuth server. Okay, so the next thing we want to do now is let's add the policy. Let's add the policy that would ensure that an error is returned when a JWT token is not supplied. We're adding it to our inbound rules. So I would go over to, so I already saved okay, so I'll go to um let me go to my design, and you're already familiar with how you add policies. So let's select the get all courses again. And before clicking on the policy editor, okay, so it's an inbound rule. So click on this and I'll paste some code and would modify them afterwards. Okay. Um, so what we'll do now is authorization. Let me take this out so that to be clearer. Okay, validate JWT header name authorization 410. Okay, so let me copy another code to that first line to replace it so as to save our time typing it all out. Paste. Okay. So the next line, OpenID config URI. Okay. What we'll do now is we'll get the URI. That URI, you can see the helper text I added. The URI is the OAuth, what we got from the OAuth, the authorization token. So we are going to be pasting that. We're going to be pasting that. So let me go over here. Let's go to overview, endpoints, authorize, auth, authorization version 2. We copy this, and we go over here and we paste it. URI should be this. Okay. So the next thing we should do is the other fields that we should fill. Um, we just need to close that. I hope this will work. Yeah. So we have that. So for the next line, I think the other lines are pretty straightforward. Configured claims, claim name. Those are kind of straightforward. Required claims, claim name, then the the app ID for app manager as well. Okay. I think this is fine. I think this is fine. Inbound, top validate, inbound. Okay, I think this is fine. Um, okay, so I think I can save. Hopefully there wouldn't be any issues. Let me try to save. There are issues, we'll fix it together. One unlock fields contain, let's see, line 14, position 12. Line 14, claim. So we have claim here. Um, okay, I think that should fix that. Okay, let's save now. One more field again. The required claim start tag on line 17. It does not match the end tag. Line 17. Required claim. Okay, we are to close this. So put this. Yeah. Okay. So let's see this again. Let's save again. Oh, incorrect values. Login. I think let me take, let's use the token rather than the authorize. Or 2.0 endpoint version 2. Let's use the token. Let's see if that would resolve our issue. Okay, let's go back to these endpoints. Okay, this is the URL that we should use. I think this is the URL we should use. Let's slot that in now. Okay, OpenID configuration. So let's save now. Yeah, and it finally worked. Congratulations. Okay, so now we've sorted all that out. So the next thing, I think we are good now. I actually think we are good to go now. So what we need to do now is let's just go to our API manager and change the access token accepted version to 2. Look for the manifest file and modify it. Look for access token accepted version. If there's anything like that, yeah. F accepted. Okay, so I think this is it. Let me just search for token. So this is what we need to modify. Just change this from null to 2. Requested access token version should be version 2 because we are working with OAuth 2.0. Okay, so let's save this. Here's my save button. Okay, so I save this. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we're going to try to send a request. So we'll go back to our postman. Let me stop sharing and I go over to my postman. I'll go to my postman now. Where's my postman? Yeah. So I'll send this request again. We are going to see if we can get we are going to see. So now we want to send the request again. We do not have any what's it called? Any token, any bearer token. Yeah, so we are sending this request again. And let's see the response we get. Yeah, we're now getting unauthorized, which is what we wanted. Access token is missing or invalid. So what we are going to do now is we want to get our token now. So you come over here, you use the authorization endpoint that we got from, let me go over to, okay, let me go over to my portal. So what I want to do is, let me get my endpoints. Um, we want to use, want to get our URL now that would use to authorize. We'll come over here, overview, endpoints, look for authorized version 2 auth, copy this, then we go over to our postman. Yeah, we'll go over to our postman now. Then we paste the URL. Then there are a couple of values we need to add to the body. We need to add so you need to specify the grant type, client ID, client secret, and the resource. We'll be adding all that to the body. So I'll just be copying and pasting. Go over here, go to the body. Want it to be the form data. So let's start with grant underscore type. I hope my spellings are correct. So let me confirm that my spellings are accurate. Grant type. I think let me just copy and paste so that I wouldn't make any typing error. Client ID, client secret, then resource. What we want to do now is to get a token. I know this video is pretty long, but it's worth it. So for our grant type, well, our grant type is client credentials. Client ID is our client ID for postman. So let me go over to postman, to our job portal rather. Then let's go back here, select postman, copy the client ID. Then I'll paste it now. Then I need to create a client secret as well. Add a new client secret. Let me just call it client secret. You can call it anything. Then you add, and you copy the value for the secret. Then I go over to postman, I paste that as well. Then the resource, for the resource, the value we are going to be using is from our API permission. So you go over there on postman API permission. Um, but let me see, expose an API. Okay. So what I will do is let's go to sorry, it should be from our app manager. API permission. Okay, expose an API. We'll copy this. That's the resource. So let me share my postman now. Okay, so you can paste this now. Okay. So I think this is all to be able to get our token. It's a lot. Hopefully we do not face any error. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, so we'll be sending that now. Okay. So what I'll do now is that before I send it, I know you can see my screen, but I know you are on Postman, but I just want to confirm something. Okay. Okay, so let's send. Hopefully we get our bearer token. So something is not right. Okay, so we have this. We go to our header. This is incorrect. So let me remove this. Let me send it again. Still having some issues. Okay, so okay, so I think I was in the wrong URI. So I think the URI I should have gone to is the token, the one for token rather than authorize. So I think that's why it was saying I should sign in. Sorry about that. So I've changed this last parameter from authorized to token. Let me try to send. And we are seeing invalid request, the resource parameter. The resource request parameter is not supported, trace, blah, blah, blah. So let's see resource. Why is it not supported? Okay, so what do we do? What do we do? So let me confirm this. Let me remove 2.0. So let's send now. And it does work, finally. Okay, so now we have our bearer token. So what I'll do is I'll copy this, I'll copy it, now go over to, I hope I'm recording. Let me just quickly confirm. Yeah. So let me go back to Postman. So I've copied the bearer now. I'll go to this URL that says unauthorized. I'll click on headers, then over here I'll call it authorization, then the value should be bearer space, then paste it, and that's basically what we need to do. Then I would be resending this request. So let me send it again. Authorization bearer. So let's send it. It does work. Wow. So we are now, it's working perfectly. Okay, so we can see that we've successfully been able um to set up OAuth with our API management service. I hope this is clear. Um, so we can access it securely. So without this bearer token, there will be issue. So if I should remove this, and I send the request, it's going to give access token invalid. But with this token authorization, it does work as expected. So that's the end of this video. So I just wanted us to see how we can integrate OAuth with our web API when we are using the API gateway from the API management service. We've done this for web apps. We've done this for a couple of other applications without the API management service. But I wanted us to be clear on how to approach it this way. Yeah, so if you find this video helpful, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day, everyone.